If you want some FIFA 23 coins, please check out MMOXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're fast, cheap and reliable, and if you use code Rema you can get yourself a 5% discount. So what's up guys, my name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video. If I sound a little bit funny today, I do apologise. I'm not feeling very well. I have like a cold or flu, I don't know what's going on, and we've also had some bad news about my mum because she's going to have to go to the hospital and that, so you know, it's been a bit of a rough day, but I still wanted to upload for you guys, so I hope you guys can understand me being a little bit funny today. You know, I can't really help it. But today we have some 4-2-3-1 custom tactics and player instructions, and yeah, let's get right into it guys. Sorry I'm a bit all over the place, please forgive me, and yeah, let's get right into it. So for the defensive style guys, in this formation I do like to use balanced, because you're able to press when you want to press and drop back when you want to drop back. It gives you really nice control in the formation, which is very important when you're defending, so you can do a bit of everything. So that's why I like using balance. Some people like using pressure tactics, but they're not for me in this formation. Now for defensive width, I usually have this on about 42, but I've actually lowered it down to 40 just because I've noticed people playing even more narrow than usual recently. So just lowering it down to 40 has helped me counter the players that just play through the middle all the time, but it's also not so narrow to the point where we can't cover the wings also. So you know, we can defend through the middle primarily, but when somebody does play down the wings we can also cover that area too, so it works very well. For defensive depth guys, I'm currently using 45. This is because the through balls and that are very overpowered in this game, especially after the recent updates. It's important to lower that depth, so you know, when people do play those through balls, your defensive line is a bit deeper, so it's a bit more preventable. Otherwise you're not really going to stand much of a chance, doesn't matter how good you are, unfortunately. Now for offensive tactics guys, on build up play I sometimes use fast build up in this formation, but I've recently switched to balance because I've noticed fast build-up's been a little bit too quick and my players move a bit too quick for their own good, especially with how heavy gameplay can be. So switching it to balance has helped. You know, it's helped slow down the game a little bit, and I'm preferring it to fast build-up at this moment. But if you want to carry on using fast build-up, that's absolutely fine, but I suggest using balance at this moment in time. Now for chance creation guys, as always, direct passing is by far the best, and the reason for this is if you look at the diagram in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, it's the only one where you get proper movement out of your attackers. You can see the white dots, they move around very well with direct passing. If you look at something like balance, they are very static and they don't move around too much, so I suggest direct passing, especially on the new gen, as it helps you create a lot more chances. Now for attacking width guys, I like to have this on about 42. This is because again we are in a narrow formation, but it's been better trying to attack a little bit wider than I've been defending, if that makes sense. So we defend a bit more narrow, and then when we attack we're just a little bit wider but not too much. With 42 width I've noticed we can stay quite narrow as well as being wide, but it gives you a bit more balance in your attacks. I did used to have this like at 37, but recently when I've upped it I've noticed I've had a bit more control of the game, especially down the wings and that, because you know, it's important to play those balls down the wings also, as well as playing narrow. So having it on 42 has allowed me to do a bit of both, and it's worked quite well. For players in box, this one is down to preference. I have this on 6 at the moment. The reason for this is because I like to commit quite a lot of players into the box, but I also don't like to overcommit to the point where we don't have anyone back to avoid counter attacks. So having this on about 6 has been very beneficial because again we can create a lot of chances, but we're also not super vulnerable at the back. Now corners and free kicks are also down to preference. I just have this on 2 because again I like to have some players in the box, but I don't want to overcommit everyone to the point where we can get counter-attack super easily. It is down to preference, so if you want to up it you can, if you want to lower it you can, but I suggest 2 as a good middle ground. Now for the players you want to use in this formation guys, in the striker position you need a player which is able to do quite a lot of different things. So I'm using Robbie Keane at the moment as he's got a bit of everything. He's got the 5-star weak foot so he can shoot on either foot. He's got very good shooting stats, very good pace, very good dribbling. He's also got decent passing, and he's not like tall, he's not super tall, and he's not like super small either, you know. So in this position I suggest going for somebody that has a bit of everything. If you want to use like a more, I'm trying to think like isolated striker, like a lengthy player that's not super technical, or like a very small player which isn't, you know, super strong. You know, if you want to go for like either or, that's also fine, but I suggest going for somebody in the middle because I've noticed it works the best. Now for your cam, I suggest somebody that has the natural movements and somebody that has a high work rate for reasons I will show you in the player instructions. I'm using Phil Foden for the fact that he does have a high work rate, and he's also very agile, so we are able to, you know, do those intricate turns and make those plays which we wouldn't be able to do if he wasn't that type of player. Now for the left cam and right cam, it's up to you who you use, but I do suggest using more technical players. You know, Chiesa and Leao pretty good on the ball, so I suggest using those types of players in these positions. It's also important that these players can shoot, dribble and pass, because again, they're going to need to do a bit of everything. They're the main playmakers in this formation. They're the ones that are going to make things happen for you. Now for your right CDM, I suggest more of like a box-to-box style player. I'm using Park Ji-sung. The most crucial part about this position is having somebody with a high work rate, because as I'm going to show you in the player instructions, they attack and they defend, so the high work rate is very important in that sense. They should also have very balanced stats, so good pace, good shooting, good defending, good physical, good dribbling, good passing, you know, a bit of everything. If you're struggling for players to use because you don't have many coins, a good player in this position who's only like 1k now is Renato Sanchez, you know, somebody like that. But Park Ji-sung's been working very well for me. Now in the left CDM position, you're going to want a more stay back player, a more defensive player, so I'm using Patrick Vieira, and the ideal work rate for this position is a medium high, but as you're probably aware, this version of Vieira actually has a medium work rate, but he still works very well for the fact that he has like very good stats to back it up. So even if you don't have the most perfect work rate, it's important to have really good stats there in that position. Now for my left back, I use a more technical, more attacking fullback than I do for my right back. This is because, again, I will show you in the player instructions, we actually use the left back to help us on the attack, so it's important that they are able to do so and they have the ability to actually attack, because it's pretty pointless otherwise. The right back, however, is a more defensive fullback because he's going to actually stay back and be more solid in defense, but this will all make sense with the player instructions. You know, if you want to use 2 attacking fullbacks, go ahead. If you want to use 2 defensive fullbacks, also go ahead, but it will affect your player instructions. For your centre backs and goalkeeper, I just suggest going for the most meta players possible. The only reason we're using Chesney in goal is because he's very good for chemistry with Chiesa. Now for the player instructions, guys, on your striker, I suggest stay central and get in behind. This is because we don't want them to drift off to the wings. We've already got players in those positions. We need them to stay into the striker position because they are only like a single striker. If they drift off too much, we're literally going to have nobody in the box to finish off chances. So it is important they stay in those positions. I suggest getting behind for the reason that they do make the best attacking runs. If you play them on mixed attack, sometimes they don't move around enough, and when you do have them on getting behind, it doesn't always mean you have to play the ball in behind. It just means they move a lot better. And let's say I do want this player to come short, I can just tap R1 to make him do so. So getting behind just gives him the best base attacking AI possible. Now for your central cam, I suggest stay forward, and like I said, we use a high player in this position, and the reason we use a high player with stay forward is because it counteracts the instruction a little bit. So what I mean by this is, even though we have Foden on stay forward, because Foden has a high defensive work rate, he still transitions nicely into a defensive position, but because of the balance between these instructions, he actually sits in a very nice position when we don't have the ball, and then he also transitions very well when we do have the ball, so it does work very well. That's why I do suggest like a high player in this position, because sometimes if you stay forward on like a high medium, they don't get into the positions well enough, you know, they're kind of isolated. So I do suggest stay forward with like a high player, but let's say you don't have a high player, maybe just use like basic defensive support, I don't know. But for your left cam and right cam, I do just suggest get into the box for cross. This isn't because we like to cross the ball all the time, it just gives us the option to play these players into the game. So basically when we have these players on get into the box for cross, even though I don't want to cross the ball as such, it just means they will get into those positions in the box, they will make those runs. So we could even just play a short pass to them if we want, but it's important that we put this instruction on, otherwise they don't get involved. Now for your more box to box CDM, I just suggest cover center, because we don't really want to change anything else. You know, we want them on balanced attack because like I said, we want them to attack and defend, which is why I said the high work rate is very important. important because, you know, when we lose the ball, the high defensive work rate means that they will transition back and defend, and when we win the ball, the high attacking work rate means he will contribute to the attack. So it works out very well. Cover center just means he'll cover the central areas because we don't need him to cover the wing. We've already got 2 wide players on each side to do that. Now for your left CDM, the more stay back player, I suggest cut passing lane, stay back while attacking, and cover center. The main reason is this player is meant to just stay back and break up the play and add extra defensive support. It's pretty self-explanatory, but we don't need them to attack. We just need them to be as defensive as possible. Now for your left back, the one which I said should be more attacking, I just suggest leaving him on balanced attack instead of stay back while attacking, and putting him on overlap because we don't really want him to do inverted runs. We want him to overlap to create extra width, you know, because we do play quite narrow. It's important to have extra width in this formation sometimes. So overlap is the best run type. If you're not comfortable with having them on balance, by the way, you can just flick them to stay back, but it's up to you. I suggest using them on balanced attack for now. And the right back, I suggest stay back while attacking, and then the run type on overlap, because when, you know, let's say we do trigger a run forward, we do want him to overlap, but like I said, this player is a more defensive fullback, you know, he's here to add defensive support, so we just have him to stay back. So yeah, they are my custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-2-3-1. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video or found it useful. I very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and yeah, don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. I'm sorry this video is a bit all over the place. Like I said, I'm putting up with quite a lot at the moment. I hope you guys understand, and yeah, I will catch you all in the next video. I hope you have a fantastic day, and yeah, peace.